Hello, hi there. Welcome to the Guiding Voice podcast series, The Guiding Voice for a Better Future. This podcast is to help professional students, IT employees, and entrepreneurs to shape their careers. Dear listeners, in every episode, we interact with industry experts, or leaders, or academicians, or coaches across the globe to drive some insightful conversations that will help our audience learn great things. Also, we share an interesting trivia or a fun fact about the IT world or technology towards the end. Thank you for tuning in. This is Naveen and I'm with my co-host Sudhakar. So folks, due to the pandemic, the cloud adoption has been fast forwarded by at least 2 to 3 years. And there are many major players in the industry, especially in the cloud world. And to name a few, we have Amazon, Google, Microsoft, Oracle, and so on. And if you talk to any small and medium scale enterprise which are about to adopt cloud environment, the first question that comes to their mind is how secure is cloud? So we are going to bust the myths around cloud security as part of today's episode. And we are pleased to welcome Satya to cover this important topic.
Satyavathi Divadari has 22 years of professional experience in IT, ITES, Telecom, strategic outsourcing and BPO, providing end-to-end security services and solutions. She has been constantly challenged to develop enterprise-wide architectures in governance, risk management, compliance, and technical security services. Satya consistently formulated and led the execution of strategic enterprise architectural transformations. Proven consistent results made her the go-to person for critical assignments. Satya holds a distinction of certifications in cybersecurity, data privacy, enterprise architecture, fraud management, project management, total quality management, service management, and auditing. She is a noted speaker and panelist in both national and international forums. She is inspired and lives by the quote by Aristotle, "We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act, but a habit." Satya, welcome to our show.
Hi Sudhakar, hi Naveen. Thanks for having me here. Happy to be here and share my thoughts.
Thank you, Satya. Let's begin with the basics of cloud computing and security around the same. Maybe you can set the context of cybersecurity around cloud computing ecosystem and also how it is different from the traditional on-prem cybersecurity.
Yeah, so this is the common question asked by most people, right? First of all, cybersecurity itself is new for few people. But now, how is this different from what you implement for on-premise infrastructure versus what do you do for cloud? So that is the major question asked by many. The key part which we need to understand is about shared responsibility. So we are sharing the responsibility between the players. It is not completely yours. You are not keeping in your own data center so that you can actually manage the guards and manage the security, manage the server systems, everything by yourself. Now, those controls are moved and managed by, if it is an infrastructure, then infrastructure controls are owned by the provider. If it is a software as a service, then entire control is with the cloud provider. So depending upon the type of service, the control is shifting. So when the control is shifting, obviously, there will be an element of risk which is getting transferred. And then at the same time, you are benefiting by reducing the cost of infrastructure, maintenance, and operations. Right? It's a balance of both.
Excellent. So can you please explain the benefits of cloud computing and why people are facing the speed of adoption and sometimes what is stopping them? You know, during the introduction, Naveen talked about the unprecedented pandemic accelerating the pace by 2-3 years, if not more. So maybe you can talk about that a bit.
Yeah, so I agree with the pandemic being an evangelist. I don't know whether I can call evangelist because COVID is not a person. So, but it is an evangelist, right? So now you see not just a small, medium organization, but a street vendor want to run their business on cloud. They don't know that it's cloud, They just want to sell. They just need the payment coming on the Paytm or whatever the thing is. And they want their goods, whatever is manufactured, put somewhere so that somebody else from home can buy it. So that is the true value, how the proposition is changing. That's why cloud computing is increasing. And because of the, what you can say, no or very less upfront investment, people are preferring cloud computing. And also, when you don't want it, you can simply switch off, right? So that is not possible if you are doing it yourself. Then you bought so many servers, so many storage, etc. What do you do after if you want to close the shop, right? It is very difficult. The cloud makes it, what you can say, scalability, adaptability, agility, and also at the same time, extended network coverage, right? You don't need to just think about local coverage, your own locality, but you can actually deliver all the way to cloud. So that's the reason why people are facing their speed in cloud computing. So what is stopping them, right? Majorly the reason they are not moving towards, at least those organizations who are strongly compliance bound, they're literally worried, am I doing right? Am I taking the right risks? Is it okay to give control to somebody, right? It's almost similar to like you're actually giving your enterprise key to somebody to manage. There will be a lot of worries when the organization is compliance bound, there is a regulatory things, and there is actually financial parts involved or the customer trust involved. That's the area people are worried about it. And that is where the concerns of cloud security, privacy comes in place.
I think the conversation is going well, and you spoke briefly about the cybersecurity aspect in Sudhakar's first question and also touched upon the cloud adoption. Now, talking a little bit specifics around the trends or any specialized attacks related to the cloud security that you may want to highlight and share with our audience.
So maybe the audience and all of you are aware about the latest attacks on S3 buckets and MongoDB, etc. I'm speaking completely a technical term called S3 and MongoDB, etc. But these are cloud related. When you are storing your critical data on a storage like S3 or Azure storage, Amazon S3 or Azure storage, it's important as the way we understand it. If it is a crown jewel, obviously you lock it in multiple locks and then lock it with multiple keys and then manage it properly, right? You don't leave it in the corridor, right? So the thing here is what is happening in some cases with the speed of adoption is concerned. They believe, oh, you know what, I put it here, they will take care of everything. That's not the way it happens. So that's where the line called shared responsibility model comes in. Every time you are handling something really sensitive or critical, it's your responsibility to ensure right locks are placed by either parties. So that is something which need to be ensured no matter whatever the technical terms you use, whether it is S3 or whatever. The idea underlying here is that you need to have that type of controls enforced either by yourself or by the third party or by the provider. But it's your ultimate authority or you can say accountability to ensure that these controls are placed. So major attacks, what we observe right now is all about the configuration. It's not about actually the good old game of, this bug and that bug, etc. No. Now, right now, it's all about configuration. Because somebody haven't configured properly, there are workstations actually expanded or suddenly lowered, the performance went down, or the storage is, as I said, the S3 or MongoDB, which is a database. So you haven't configured properly, because of that, the leakage happened, right? So these are all related to something called, skill gap. One is skill gap. Second is awareness. Third is actually, I rudely call it as choose to think that others are taking the responsibility. So those are the three major areas. So the attacks are all around that.
Yeah. Now talking a little bit about these ISO standards and the COBIT standards, which dictate the organizations to follow certain security guidelines and all. So we believe, as we have been in the industry, we believe that cloud enables them with regard to adhering to those standards and all. But not many folks are aware of this. And maybe can you explain, is it true that cloud enables more security compared to managing your own infrastructure, be it on-prem data center or coming up with your own stuff?
Yeah. So there is this called effectiveness because you are managing masses. When you are delivering something on massive scale, you will actually take care of quality and security as a part of it, so that you don't want to fail the large one, the big bucket. So think about AWS, Amazon, GCP, etc. as these big players. They don't want to lose their game, right? They don't want to be called, no matter whatever the organization it is. If an S3 is failed, it's coming on Amazon. So they ensure that there are basic controls are handled. Just understand that basic controls are handled, and the data center control, like infrastructure control, physical access security, etc., already been handled. And another element here when it comes to cloud is when you join itself, right? For example, I'm not sure how many of the audience know to create a new account on AWS or Azure. First thing you will do is they'll ask you to enable SSO, right? Multi-factor authentication. So what are those? They are not IT related, right? They are security controls. That's the first ask being asked. And not only that, there are some controls has been defined by the cloud players to ensure that people don't do this, what we can say, mistakes. They embed certain controls already to ensure that. But as I said, considering all those, in case you are doing on your own server or on your own storage, you need to ensure these controls are taken care by somebody, right? However, when you go to cloud, these are all already embedded. Log management or identity management, these are all embedded within the system. And the only thing is you should know how to use it. It's all about, again, coming back to awareness and responsibility. Ask the right questions. Are you taking care of this? Am I taking care of it? If you are taking care of it, what are you taking care of? As simple as that it comes in. And coming to they said earlier, the cost of security as such generally gets reduced when you are actually going on cloud, because as I said, it's a scale, right? When you are adapting these kind of controls on cloud. And not only that, nowadays, even the security services, whether it is data security, which is encryption, it's available as a service. Security operations, which is actually monitoring defense, available as a service. Application security, which is vulnerability testing, penetration testing, available as a service. So you don't need to actually have your own person sitting. You could actually take it as a subscription, do that test, go with it. So that's actually reducing your overhead of the cost of operations and also cost of what you can say, maintaining these security controls.
So Satya, you talked about the single sign-on, multi-factor authentication, log management, encryption, and you just touched upon the total cost of ownership. So from a cloud security perspective, what are the best practices any organization can adapt while migrating their workloads from on-prem to a third-party cloud?
So I will go with a 3-phase approach. First, let's say a customer is actually thinking about or choosing to move on to a cloud. First thing is to understand what is in my hands, right? What are the assets? How many I can move to cloud? How many I need to keep it on cloud? That is based depending upon the criticality of the data. Criticality of the data is, this is too critical. I have to keep it on cloud because it gives me resilience. Or alternatively, this is too critical. It is running on my proprietary systems. I don't want to go. So this is a choice you need to do as an assessment initially. You are not going to move everything, pack it and take it. It's not as simple as transferring a house from one place to other. It's not that. It's not as simple. So you need to do that assessment of critical assessment of data. Applications as well, right? Applications, when you are moving applications from local to cloud, you need to understand the dependencies. Do you have relevant APIs? Do you have relevant connectors? And whether these applications, what we are speaking about, do they have support on cloud? Because they might have been written somewhere in Windows NT Jamana, right? And they may not work today. So all these things you need to check. That's the part where you do assessment, which will be like application security assessment, data security assessment, identity assessment. Identity is because you will be having too many identities of your endpoints, database, systems, and there will be more identities coming on the cloud. How do you actually manage this together, right? Also the defense. So once you do the assessment, you will actually define what you plan to migrate and also plan on how are you going to secure the data on cloud as well as on-prem at a centralized place. So data being the new oil and well, that is the core. And then come to application security. Ensure that the applications are actually, what we can say, during the designing phase itself, you are ensuring the security scans and happening during the life cycle so that you are moving the development cycle faster. You know the approach called shift left. So following that shift left approach on the cloud is another one. And moving on to the identities. So identity access management comes as a default on cloud, but how do you integrate with hybrid IT? Because you still have some workloads sitting on-prem, right? Majority of the managed. So how do you build this as a comprehensive story? And how do you manage the defense, what you can say, operations, security operations of all these systems? Monitoring the attacks or monitoring the different faults or errors done by people and managing the incidents coming out of it. So all this has to happen during the migration stage. And once you move there, you should have a phase where you can run this operations as a systematic way, like a wheel. It should continue happening without having any issue. So you need to have that managed security operations by yourself, right? Either you do it or somebody does it, but it's important that ensure that you have that running. Don't believe that it's on the cloud, everything is taken. Yeah, those are the few best practices as a list.
So Satya, you talked about the planning, transformation, and running our operations or sustenance from the technical standpoint. Once we complete the technical assessment and other things, then comes the bigger issue, more interesting topic for you from the governance, risk and compliance, GRC aspect. Can you highlight the security laws or compliance aspects required or implemented for securing the data in cloud? We hear about these jargons like GDPR, CCPA, LGPD, and many such localized bodies almost mimicking one of these or some of these.
Yeah, I agree. So you might have heard these use case on Cambridge Analytica, actually Facebook, right? So where the data of the users has been used in a different way to actually manage the polls or influence the polls, right? So that is actually called, secondary purpose. The primary purpose of the collection of the data is to provide them a platform, manage their information. The secondary purpose is doing that research and using it for other purpose. So every change in purpose, I'm just speaking about the purpose of collection of data, and the secondary purpose has been not notified to the owner of the data. As simple as that. So if the owner of the data, for example, Sudhakar's data has been used and Sudhakar has never been notified, then Sudhakar can actually raise a case. So that is a legal implication, no matter whether you call it GDPR, CCPA or PDPA per se. So whatever the controls are, it's all about the 6 principles of, does the data owner has the right to access their data? Have they given consent to use the data for a primary purpose or secondary purpose? Are you handling the data securely? Are you handling the data for the purpose given? Are you actually providing governance to it? These are the things which you need to ensure as a compliance rule. I'm making it simpler for people to understand. So GDPR, CCPA, these are all the nomenclature. GDPR is a European regulation which is quite popular. CCPA is a California regulation. Same way you have Canada, same way you have UK, even in India. So these are all compliance bodies who try to enforce these policies what we spoke about. How do you do that? Compliance on cloud. And why it is important, or why it is highlighted during the cloud is, first point asked is, okay, I'm moving my workloads to cloud. Okay, where is going? The first part is the place the data has been moved, whether that country where the data is getting stored, does that country have equal or more security controls than my country, origin country? Let's say it's India, I'm speaking India, or let's say European organization is trying to keep their workload somewhere on cloud. First part they ask is, where is this data stored? Is it stored in Europe? Yes. Is it a country in the list of the European laws, etc.? Same way it applies to, in case that there is a data processing happening for the same data in India or Argentina, each of the location where the data is being processed or accessed, they need to know and the regulations need to be compliant to it. So that is what people are worried about. So this was the story, I think, at least 5 or 6 years back. Now people are not bothering about where the data is residing, because when you are migrating itself, you choose which region you want the workloads to be. For example, you want to run the operations in Europe, you will run there. And you want the operations to be run in US, you will run there. And there is a front-end, there is front-end systems available through which you will get that caching, so that you can actually address the markets, other markets also, but still having the data localized in your location. So to me, practically speaking, that the location of the data being a concern moved out of the story. Now the story is all about, are you compliant with the data privacy compliances? And you see in the penalties what Facebook has to pay.
Yeah, quite an interesting conversation so far. Satya, I always wonder, like, when it comes to these hackers, right? Those are more smart and intelligent than the developers or the creators or the architects of any technology, right? So talking a bit about the hacking and also about how do we put in some controls and all. So every time a new control is put in place, or every time we come up with a new way of dealing with security, again, these guys will come up with their own methodology to break into that system, right? In this connection, can you talk about some of the latest and greatest thing that is happening in the cloud security part?
Yeah, I think you actually pointed out a right element, how the attackers are changing. So when you are adapting to cloud, obviously attackers are also adapting. They are adapting at a larger scale than we are. And they do not worry about it because they have less risk and lot to gain. So thinking about that world, and cloud also enables these big data platforms, analytics platform, artificial intelligence platforms, available at a very limited cost for them to start with. And they have high motivation to attack any focused or unfocused industry or a customer. So considering that is the case, we observe artificial intelligence has been used by attackers a lot, whether it is to actually attack an application or attack a government portal or defense, database. So this is something which we are already observed, and these sometimes they are actually targeted, financed attacks, or sometimes they are novice discussions. Those are the things happening. So considering these things are happening in the other side of the body, so this side, the security professionals like all of us actually have to build that kind of expertise. That's why you will observe the security elements on cloud otherwise are also using artificial intelligence. If it is application security, okay, can we use application security, artificial intelligence, so that we reduce the false positive to a little? Okay, if you are actually monitoring the bugs and then even the attacks coming on your systems, can you apply artificial intelligence, machine intelligence, so that we can automate a lot of things and reduce the number of threats coming towards me and focus on few incidents? Or if there is an incident, can I automate it so that I can reduce this, what you can say, time to resolve that particular incident, so that I do not need to go into that data breach scenario. So these kind of things are happening right now. And first part is artificial intelligence, as I mentioned. Second is about automation. Everywhere. Automation is everywhere. So wherever possible, I think cloud enables that. And I don't say traditional, it doesn't, but cloud enables a lot. You can actually build a small script, make a serverless, headless algorithm, which kicks in, something happens, and then throws an error or actually closes a system or enables a system. So it looks like a magic to me, practically. But this is automation, right? So the serverless script, native cloud app-enabled automation, these all things are actually helping us build that security controls what we are looking forward to. There are a lot to do, but I think we are somewhere there. Maybe another interesting thing which is happening is the connected world, which is IoT. I know you might wonder where is the connection between IoT and cloud. But see, IoT is actually a very basic small device. It doesn't have any storage. Where does data go? Go to cloud, right? So majority of the time, IoT is directly integrated with cloud. So that is where the IoT security and cloud security comes in together. So when we are speaking about smart vehicles, smart manufacturing, smart governance, all of these organizations are slowly moving towards cloud. Most cases it might be private cloud, but that is where the trend is visible and we might see more there. Hope this is useful. Huh?
Absolutely. Fabulous insights so far. And I think we have been conversing very seriously about cloud and enabling cloud security. So let us add some fun to this conversation with some rapid fire questions about Satya. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, here comes the first one, Satya. What is your one unique strength?
People say that I am very bold.
I think we agree.
Absolutely. I was able to say that. Second one, which one do you prefer? Invisibility or a super strength?
I am still not sure. Is it possible to have both? Have a invisibility cloak and have a super strength like, Harry Potter?
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. So the next one is, what is the strangest thing that you have ever eaten?
I haven't eaten, but I've seen something. Like in Stockholm, we went and there is this wild boar. They put it on a grill like this before you. You sit in the table. It's like I can't explain. It's like almost like a ship. You are sitting there, and then they put this wild boar before you, and you can cut it and eat it directly. You can imagine that. It's difficult to eat. I just saw and take pictures.
Here comes the next one, slightly related to the elevator pitch. Okay, so if you are in an elevator alone with either Satya Nadella or Sundar Pichai, what would be your first question to them?
I'm not sure I will ask any question. First of all, I'll be very happy to have them with me in the lift. I will maybe handshake them and say, boss, I'm Satya. I'm also Satya. You are also Satya.
Yeah, fair enough. So next one, which one do you think you wish you would have done differently, be it on personal or professional life?
So this is something I always think, or we human think that we could do a lot of things differently, but we can't. We go with the flow. Most of the cases, I believe I would have went back and maybe come with a different dress or something. We always think that, but it never happens. I believe in destiny. Follow the flow.
Great. So one last question as part of this rapid fire. If a movie was made of your life, what genre it would be and who would play you?
Okay. I'm not sure whether I can fit in any of the genre, but I like fantasies in general, historic fictions, practically. I live in that area. And I like the heroine Vidya Balan, really wonderful. So if somebody is making my life in a fictional story with a lot of elements of fantasy, probably Vidya Balan can do a great job. I think she is bold like me.
In fact, she's one of my favorite actresses too. Yeah. Thank you. Over to you, Sudhakar.
No, I was saying that, it will be a good opportunity for us to sell this story to Disney, to come up with a fairy tale story, more fictional, playing Vidya Balan about Satya. And I am sure, a shot or two may be worth about the Guiding Voice audience and the hosts as well.
Very interesting, yeah. I'm just figuring out how it looks like.
After that amazing rapid round, let's get back to the mainstream. Satya, it has been amazing discussion. One final question for this session. What is your one piece of advice to those aspiring to make big in their careers like you?
See, I think whatever I say, it's just one piece of advice. You will have many advices from your own life. To me, practically speaking, everyone has their own story, and in their story, they are their hero. They are the hero and heroine, whatever it is. And my pain is my pain, and your pain is your pain. No way that we can replicate. So the way you could redefine yourself is actually fight for yourself, perform to actually upskill yourself to grow by yourself. Don't compare that. Okay, I should be actually better than Sudhakar. I will never be. And because both are two different people. You can't compare apple with a mango, right? So you are unique by yourself. To me, I think we should accept that. First point is accepting that I'm unique. I have these strengths. I also have these weaknesses. And these are my goals I'm going to achieve. These are the big rocks which I want to lift. And then follow through that and then achieve that. And go with that into, don't get distracted by the, these competition and then rivalry among the peers and colleagues, etc. I believe it's important that you believe in yourself that I will do this. I have these strengths to achieve this. I have these weaknesses I will survive with. These are the big things I want to achieve. Once you have that clarity, you can achieve anything what you want to. And for that, I'm the best example. I started with zero. I'm a person who actually started my life with a remote tribal village, and then now I'm in a city with, I believe I have made my own mark. I'm sure you will make your own. It's not necessary that you need to be a Stephen Hawking or Bill Gates or Satya Nadella to become the great. You have your own greatness and you would be able to make the better with what you have, and believe in yourself. That's one thing, and be yourself. I think that's second thing. And third is have a goal for yourself and achieve that.
Wow, thank you, Satya. It was profound. I really liked that. Accept and appreciate your uniqueness. So, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us today, Satya. We really appreciate you taking time for us. And it was indeed a pleasure, to talk about cloud security and in general about the overall cloud computing. We really appreciate you taking time for us. Thank you.
Thank you. I hope this is valuable for the people who are listening. I only tell that all the best to all of you and wish you good luck.
Sure.
Dear listeners, to know more about our speaker and the content, refer to the show notes and visit or follow us on social media. We are available on LinkedIn, Facebook, Insta, Twitter, Pinterest, and also on YouTube. Just search for The Guiding Voice and then follow, like, subscribe to us, and also share within your network. In addition, please feel free to email us at The Guiding Voice for You. That is TheGuidingVoice 4 as a digit, U as a letter at gmail.com, or WhatsApp us on India number 9494587187. That is India number 9494587187, and we will be happy to collaborate with you.
Hey Sudhakar, can you talk about the exciting opportunity of featuring our audience on this show?
Sure, Naveen. So guys, of late, we have been receiving a lot of career guidance related questions from our regular listeners through YouTube, LinkedIn comments, WhatsApp and email. And we are responding to them on one-on-one basis. Now, we are pleased to open up a new mode of interacting with you all while providing a chance to broadcast yourself. If you have any questions related to education, career guidance, or a specific IT function, just send your voice message through speakpipe.com/theguidingvoice. We will play your question in your own voice along with the answer either from us or our expert panel in our future episodes. Hope you will utilize this wonderful opportunity.
Alright, so it brings us to the trivia segment of today's episode. And today's trivia is about the deep web and the dark web. I know we have covered some important aspect of cloud security, and now we wanted to talk about the deep web or the dark web, where majority of the cyber crimes and the data theft happens. Alright, so here comes the question. Do you know what percentage of the information on the internet is contained on the deep web? Okay, you may be thinking about it, but deep web or the dark web is not visible to us. You need some special tools to access. But here comes the fact. Over 90% of the information that is available on the internet is contained on the deep web, and which is stored on the dark web. Very scary, but interesting, isn't it? Thank you for listening. There is more in store, folks. Stay tuned. Take care. Be safe. Until next time. Bye-bye. And we are signing off.